Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. So today we're going to talk about real estate investing and how I really got started. I'm not going to lie to you. There is some luck that comes into real estate investing. There is some luck that comes with being disciplined. And so I don't want you to think that I got everything I wanted and needed because I was lucky. But I want you to understand that you get lucky when you do everything right. So if you're playing basketball, if you're owning your skills, if you're shooting that shot every single day, but you're missing that last shot, eventually you're going to make it because you already know what distance you got to go. You already know how much power you got to put into it. You might have missed 100 times, but at least you know how to get to the rim. Eventually, that shot is just going to fall for you. That's a basketball analogy. So for my ladies, you do makeup every single day, but you don't know how to just shade that color the way it's supposed to be shaded. Eventually, you got this one girl who's getting married. She believes you're the best in the world. You are honing your skills. You are doing whatever you can. You are trying. You don't want to disappoint her. You don't want her to say, oh, you can't do this. So you try your best. And this time you got the perfect shade. You got the right alignment on both sides. You cracked the code. It was only through your hard work. It was only through your efforts that you were able to finally find that spark, finally find that switch. So in my case, when I started to invest in real estate, I had already been investing in the stock market. I had been making money in the stock market, but not a lot. I won't lie to you and tell you it was a lot. Fresh out of college, making about $200 a year prior to that. And then I started to make a couple hundred every few months or so. And so I wasn't really making a lot of money. I think maybe I had made 2,000 at most in a year. I can't even remember. It was just like 3 years ago. Because I make so much more than that now. It's like, it's dumbfounding to me. But when I saw that someone had got appreciation of $20,000 on a rental property, I said, whoa, this is way more than I made in the stock market. How do I get a piece of that? How do I get $20,000 for doing nothing? That wasn't even to talk about somebody else paying it down for them. All they had to do was make that initial investment. I don't even really see them at the property like that. And so I was like, man, there's so much to be made there. And then you're not even talking about increasing rents, all that. And so my mindset shifted. I was like, wait, I'm still paying rent. At the very least, I can get myself someplace to own. So at least I'm paying myself. I wasn't even thinking about my age. I wasn't thinking about how that would propel me into the next step. All I was thinking about is I'd rather pay me than someone else. And so with that mindset, already paying $1,200, $1,100 a month in rent, I said, man, let me go and find me something. I didn't know what a house would go for that same amount. All I knew was I needed something for me because what I'm paying is not it. And so I was invested in Acorns at the time. I also had a Robinhood account, and I think I had about 11,000 in Acorns. I had only put 10,000 in Acorns. So this is the power of investing. My Acorns account had grew by over $1,000. This is when Acorns was only charging you $1 a month. Now they charge about $3 a month. So I tell everybody, don't even bother with an Acorns account because I'm not trying to have you put in $100 but be paying $3 a month. That's not what we're doing. Okay? So I will always tell you, go to Robinhood, go to M1 Finance. Those are the sites that I've used in the past. I don't want to tell you a site that I haven't used. So, yeah, and if you do have a lot of cash and you're willing to just go with Acorns for the simplicity, then go ahead and do that too. I'm not trying to shun anyone from using a specific uh, stock market exchange or brokerage. So with that being said, I had 11,000 in my Acorns account. 1,000 of that was from the stock market doing its thing. So that $1,000 was added to my down payment. Now I had left Amazon. While leaving Amazon, they gave me a severance package. Severance package, I can't remember. It was probably around 7,500. Maybe I had to pay some taxes on it, so maybe it was like $4,000. I remember I had to pay off my car. Even though I could have already paid it off with my savings, I didn't do that. And obviously I had a lot of money in my stock market account. Didn't do that. I would not advise the average person to do what I did. Why? Is because the average person is not investing up to 10 plus grand. The average person isn't saving 10 plus grand. And I already had the money to pay off my car from day one. And so if my interest rate was anything more than 5%, and it wasn't, it was like 4% on that car, I would have most likely paid it off right away. But because I wanted to build my credit, I did not. And guess what? When I paid off the vehicle, it increased my credit to like 796. And so when I bought my first property with a credit score of 796, that little less than a year of me paying on that car helped me to have a 2.625% interest rate on a house. Now, could I have, even if I didn't have that credit, could I have paid down the rate? Absolutely. But I wasn't smart enough to think that that was a good idea, right? In fact, if I could rewind time, I would have at least bought a point on every single one of my properties. At least a point. Even on this property, I did not buy a point. And it's 2.99% on this property. Still a great rate. But when they were telling me, hey, you could buy a point and get 2.85%, I said, no, I'm not a fool. So we all make mistakes, people. We all make mistakes. If anybody knows real estate, if anybody knows mortgages, if anybody knows lending, that was a rookie mistake. That was me thinking that I was smarter than everybody else. And I wasn't. Like I said, I would have bought those points immediately. Immediately. Would it have made a big difference? No. It wouldn't have made a big difference. I mean, the interest rate was already so low. But it would have given me even more wiggle room than I already have. And who doesn't want more wiggle room in their life, right? So I'm not sure what that would have done to my monthly payment. I wasn't even thinking about it. But again, it would have been a blessing to have 2.85 instead of 2.99. It would have been a blessing to have 2% instead of 2.625. And so, sometimes you just have to truly understand what you're doing, what you're investing in. Don't be afraid to buy points. Don't think that it's a scam. Don't think that you're being rug pulled, and don't think that people are not giving you your best rate. They're probably giving you the best rate for that price, because when you buy points, you have to pay more money. And so when you buy points, you have an increase in your closing costs. So what you want to do when you're looking for real estate is you want to understand, one, what are the closing costs and what is the rate? Then you want to shop that around. Okay, how much does it cost me to go down a point? So if it's 8% and I want to go to 7%, how much will that cost me? Typically, it will cost you 1% of the total loan amount. So if you have a $200,000 house, it's going to cost you $2,000 to go down 1 point. If it costs you less than that, if it costs you $1,500 to go down a point, that might be the lender that you want to go with, because it costs you less to get a better interest rate than another lender that's charging you $2,000 for it. Does that make sense? And then you can also go to that lender that is charging you $2,000 and say, hey, this person is charging me $1,500 for this rate. Can you at least match it because I like your systems and software is better? They might be able to do that for you. The reason why they may be able to do that is because they're going to go to their higher ups, their managers, and they're going to say, this person has a rate and a closing cost that all fit and all match. Can we at least match this? And if the manager says yes, then they're able to make those moves. But they don't have the wiggle room to do that themselves. I used to work for Chase. I used to do refinancing. So trust me when I say they're not just trying to rug pull you. They're just doing their job. So it's not like the car business where people are always getting on you and messing things up and trying to get the most and milk you for everything you have. No. Real estate is a lot different. It's very, very simple once you understand it. But again, I really, really wish I bought some points. Did I have the money to buy the points? No. And the reason why is I put everything I had into buying those properties. And so the first time I bought a property, I only had enough money for 10% down plus closing costs. That's all I had the money for. 10% down plus closing costs. And so when I got my second property, as I was looking for a property now, I was also looking at 10% down because that's how much money I had. Because of the money I had, I was looking at a price range of where I could put 10% down and get into a home. And believe it or not, a lot of the times lenders were trying to get me to buy lesser properties. So a property that might cost, I was looking at $215,000 properties at the time, but they were trying to get me to buy $180,000 properties instead. And I don't see anything wrong with that because a lot of people go above their means. A lot of people can't really afford what they're getting into. And a bank is actually doing themselves a good service by saying this person will truly be able to afford their home because they're not maxing out their credit. They're not maxing out their debt to income ratio. They're buying something that is below their means that they can truly afford. And so I see it on both sides where the bank is doing you a favor by not giving you the most expensive home that you can afford, and then by not telling you how to hurt yourself, essentially. And so I did appreciate the fact that my first home was fairly cheap, and it will be paid off a lot quicker because of that. And my second home was not as cheap, but still within my means. And I knew I was young. And so as I get older, it'll just be so much easier to pay off. And I am putting extra on it in order to do that. So what I would tell people, depending on if you're 35 and older, try to buy a property that is, I would say 37% or less of your take-home pay. 37% or less. Most investors, most finance gurus will tell you 25% or less. I don't really think that is a sustainable number. So I'm going to say 35% or less. 37 at the most. That is a lot. That is a lot of house. And if you can't afford 37% or less, then you need to fix your budget. You need to fix your income because you should not be going above that price. Now, with that being said, as I was going about my investment journey, I was going to open houses. So I was meeting real estate agents. I was going to different properties, viewing different properties. Listen, I was well aware that my real estate agent was spending a lot of money on gas. I was well aware that my real estate agent was having to leave his family all the time to view properties with me. I was well aware that every single chance I got, I was viewing properties, and so I was taking time away from him and his family. And so I did not take that for granted. I was desperate to find my first property. I was desperate. I was on the search. I was looking. I was looking. Every duplex I wanted, I could not get. I was always getting outbid $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over asking. Yes, it was pandemic times, baby. Everybody was trying to get properties. Everybody was trying to make this money. Okay? Every duplex, I'm telling you, you could not buy a duplex and not pay over asking for it. I'm still having a duplex in my head right now that I wanted so badly for $340,000 at the time. That's now worth over $500,000, and I'm not even sure that the rents would have made sense. The people who moved in were college students that their father purchased that property. Tell me why I know that. I was obsessed. I'm still obsessed. 2 years later, I'm thinking about that property still. Like, oh my God, one day I'm going to own that. I hope. But those numbers are going to be ridiculous, and the interest rate is going to be even more stupid. So, again, you don't get lucky without hard work, without consistency, without going after it and doing it. My real estate agent is not lucky. He is a hard worker, right? Imagine if it was me who had to go out and see me every single day viewing 100 different properties. I would have been mad at me. Like, I don't have that type of patience. And so you only get as good as you can get when you find someone who's even better at their job, helping you to be good at your job. I'm just good at my job. I need excellent people around me to make me great. And so with all the hard work I did, I was able to understand that I'm not getting that duplex because there's already 2 bids on it, and they're going to have to bid higher than the asking price. Whoop-de-doo. I've seen that already 4 or 5 times this year. So guess what? I said I'm going to buy this single family home, get my 2.625% rate. And by the way, that wasn't the first rate that I was offered. The first rate I was offered was 3%. I had to go to a whole nother lender who said, actually, your rate, your credit score is not 280, it's 296, and we're gonna give you a 2.625% interest rate. After I was stressing out over 3%, stressing out, people. A whole year later, I still got a house for 0.01% less than 3%. This house, 2.99%. Tell me why someone really tried to offer me a 3% rate at that time. Now, is it their fault? No, that was probably the rate, right? But I felt like it was a slap in the face because I saw interest rates were around 2.75% at the time on a fixed rate mortgage. And I was like, there's no way my credit is that bad that I deserve to be paying 3% right now. Most people would have jumped on that opportunity, but I found a way to get that even cheaper for me. And then on the single family house, it had just got out of contract. Somebody had failed to close. I asked for $5,000 off, instantly granted. So not only did I not have to bid over asking on a duplex, but I got $5,000 off of the single family home. Then the basement needed some work, so I got $3,500 towards that. So not only did I get basement work done, I got $5,000 off. That's money that I never had to spend. Just a simple negotiation done in less than an hour. I'm telling you, I saved $5,000 in less than an hour. What does that mean? That means always negotiate. If you can't get a deal, then it's not for you. It's not a deal. And so always negotiate. This house, I still had to negotiate to get the basement redone. I paid asking price, but I still had to negotiate to get the basement redone. And so was it a deal? It wasn't a steal of a deal, but it was still a good deal. Now the house was worth $261, bought it for $215. Not bad. Not bad in 2 years. So all I'm saying is when you understand your market, when you understand your place in that market, when you understand what you can afford, what you can buy, when your interest rate is good, once you've locked all your credit cards, once you've started to pay off all your debts, once you've started to invest, now you can look at savings as well and say, okay, I'm going to start saving. For the second property, I did not take any money out of my stock market. That was all savings. All me putting all that good old savings to work. And it was a great decision. A great decision. Great area, great everything. Wise. I did my research. This wasn't the first property I looked at. But I did my research. I kept looking. I found something good. I hopped on it, and it was right for me. It was the best place for me. So again, nothing comes with luck. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes a willingness to do things the right way. It takes saving. It takes investing. Even if I had gotten that stipend from the severance from Amazon, 4,000 isn't enough to buy the properties I was buying. I was putting 19,500 down. The other one I put, I think, like $30,000 down. So trust me, you're going to have to save regardless. And then that was just icing on the cake because I was ready in the moment. And then you can't buy a property without having a job or income coming in. So I had to find a better job that paid me even more than Amazon. And so that's what happens when you bolster your resume. That's what happens when you can speak articulately and express your point of view in a way that people can say, okay, I can trust this person with my business. Because that's what I was doing. I was running businesses. I was running restaurants, general manager. I had to open and close. Okay, so I had no time to spend my money and all the time to put it to where it was supposed to be. So if you're having a problem with just spending your money, you're always spending, then look at working more. That's always a good option. So if you like this video, if you now understand a little bit more about real estate, how I got into real estate, go to some open houses. Even if you can't afford a house, just go and see a few. Let that inspire you. Let that invigorate you to have a goal, to have a starting point, to say, I'm going to own something like this. Go into $1 million place or a $750,000 home and say, okay, this is what the goal is. This is what I'm looking toward to. If you have a wife or a husband or a significant other, go ahead and do that with them and say, baby, we're working towards this. Let them see that vision. Let them see that goal. See if they buy in. And if they do, you're off to the races. So if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You know I post every single day at 8 a.m. daily on YouTube and on Rumble. And I can't wait to see you on the next one. Peace.